Hi, my name is Stephen Boss, and I want to tell you some stories from ancient India. These stories concern two great beings from that ancient time, Astavarkra and King Janaka. One day, a renowned Brahmin priest was chanting and reciting the Vedas, the sacred scriptures, along with his pregnant wife. And as he was reciting the Vedas, suddenly from his wife's womb came the sound, and what it was the baby saying from the womb, "Father, you are chanting them incorrectly." Well, the father got mad and cursed the son who was in the womb and said that he would be born deformed. Sure enough, when the baby was born, he was deformed in 8 places. But he was also born a God-realized being, enlightened. And as the young man was growing up in the villages there, one day the king sent out a decree that he had a dream, and he wanted all the great holy men in the area to come and decipher the meaning of his dream. So he called everyone together, and all the Brahmin priests and the sadhus came. And the king recited his dream that he had had. He said that one day he was dreaming in the afternoon, and he usually would sleep in a bed of roses, rose petals, and flower petals. And in this dream, he dreamt that another army had come and was attacking his castle. And he barely escaped and got off into the wooded area and was hiding in the woods, and eventually found this cornfield and was hiding in the cornfield as the other army went looking for him. He lay down in the cornfield and he had a dream. And he had a dream that he was back in his castle, in his flower bed, in his castle. Well, he woke from that dream and realized that he was now dreaming again in the cornfield. Eventually, he awoke from that dream, and there he was back in his castle. He called the holy men together and said, "Which dream is real? When I was in the field hiding from the enemy, I believed that was real. When I was in my bed there in the castle, I believed that that was real. Which is real?" No one could give an answer that satisfied the king. So he decided what he would do was throw everyone into jail. So he had all the sadhus who were there who couldn't answer his question thrown into jail. Well, the son had heard about this, and now his father, who had cursed him, now was in jail. So the son decided he was going to go and answer the king's question. So he went in to the castle, and the guard at the castle, now he's a hunchback and he's deformed. And the guard at the castle says, "Halt, who are you?" And Astavarkra says, "That's why you are where you are," and continued to walk. Then a senior guard stopped him and said, "Halt, who are you?" And Astavarkra says, "That's why you are who you are." Eventually, he went to the prime minister, and the prime minister recognized him and said, "Oh, Sadhu, come in." And he says, "Can I help you?" He says, "I'm here to answer the king's question." So they called forth the king. The king came there. Astavarkra went and sat on a chair, and the king related his dream. And Astavarkra says, "O king, since you experience both, in a way, both are real. But also, in a way, both are unreal because they are not permanent. What's important is to find that which is real, and that is your own inner being, your own inner self. That is what is real." Well, the king was really happy with this answer. And with that, he freed everyone from the prison. And when they got home, the father and son, the father released the curse from the boy. And what happened is he said, okay, now go into the ocean, immerse yourself in the ocean, and all your deformities will disappear. And that's exactly what happened. But the name, which referred to his deformities, stuck. And he kept that name for the rest of his life. Then one day, there was this big birthday party for one of the great sadhus in the area, one of the great gurus. Everyone went. Astavarkra went. They're all sitting there and sipping their chai and enjoying the company of these great beings. And at one point, one of the participants of this party asked Astavarkra, "Oh, Astavarkra, when will so-and-so go?" Astavarkra says, "He'll go when I go." There was silence. Again, the young man asked Astavarkra, "Well, when will so-and-so go?" Again, he says, "He'll go when I go." Again, there was silence. So they then began to ask about all the participants there, when will they go? And each time the answer was, "They'll go when I go." Finally, they asked about the person whose birthday they were celebrating, when will he go? And he was really well thought of as a great being. Astavarkra again says, "He'll go when I go." Long pause, long silence. Then they ask Astavarkra, "When will you go?" He says, "I'll go when my eye goes." When my eye goes. What he's talking about is this sense of individuality that we have, this sense of separation or dualism. See, actually it's non-dualistic is the key. As long as we keep our sense of dualism, then we are in this state of becoming and not have reached that final state. So it is that sense of individuality that he's talking about, that sense of I-ness that keeps us separate from the divine. That is what needs to go. At one point, the king asked all of the sadhus another spiritual question. And he says, whoever can answer, what he wanted was, the king, he wanted to have spiritual attainment. He wanted enlightenment. And he says, whoever can give me this can sit on my throne. No one dared to try to answer. And the king said, also, I'll give you 1,000 cows and all the wealth you could want if you can give me this attainment. Sure enough, Astavarkra came. As he was walking in now, he came up and he sat on the throne immediately. And everyone was aghast. How can this young man just come and sit on the king's throne? So the king came, and there was Astavarkra on the throne. And he says, oh, Astavarkra, welcome. What's up? Or whatever. And Astavarkra says, oh, king, I heard you wanted knowledge. The king says, yes, I do. It says, however, I want it in the time it takes to mount and sit on a horse. Astavarkra says, okay, I can give that to you. Are you prepared to pay the price? And the king says, anything, I'll pay anything. Whatever it takes, I'll pay. Astavarkra says, okay, I want your mind, I want your body, and I want your wealth. Are you prepared to give all of that to me? The king thought for a second and said, yes, I'll give it all to you. He says, oh, king, think again about this. I want your mind, your body, and your wealth. King thought again. He says, yes, I give it all to you. Astavarkra says, okay, now it's all mine. Your mind is mine, your body is mine, and your wealth is mine. So I want you to go and sit amongst the shoes. Now, in the East, shoes are considered dirty, and especially to go and sit with the shoes was considered a very low thing to do. And the people who were there were aghast that he was asking the king, their king, to go sit amongst the shoes. But King Janaka did it right away, went and sat amongst the shoes. So Astavarkra was trying to get the king to lose the identity of his body, not to be so proud of his body. And so then, when the king was sitting with the shoes, Astavarkra says, "O king, I want your wealth. I have your wealth. Don't even think about your possessions. Your wives, your wealth, all of your horses, everything. All is mine. Don't even think about it." Unbeknownst to anyone else, the king was thinking exactly about those possessions he had, his wives. He's going to give them all to this young man. So the king says, "Okay, I give that wealth to you." And he says, "Okay, king, now I want your mind. Give me your mind." How many of us are prepared to give up our mind, our body, and all of our wealth for something that might be difficult to attain? Who knows if you actually are going to attain this or not? And so Astavarkra says, "I want your mind." And then he says, "King, I want you to go inside and not think of anything and become quiet." The king goes into his own self, his own being, and becomes very quiet. And with the power these great beings have, that these saints and these great gurus have, the power of grace, he took all of the stuff that was blocking King Janaka from the attainment of his own divine self. Astavarkra took it all away with his power. And immediately the king went into deep meditation. And for a long time he was in meditation. Astavarkra called to him, still no reply. Called again, still no reply. Now the people in the audience, the king's subjects, were all becoming concerned because the king was out, he was gone. After some time, Astavarkra called on the king again, and the king kind of came to a little bit. Astavarkra says to him, "O king, have you reached that attainment?" King Janaka says, "Oh yes, oh yes. And it is more wonderful, it is more beautiful than I ever thought." "Oh Astavarkra, thank you. Thank you so much." Astavarkra then says, "King, I have no use for your money. I have no use for your body. I have no use for your mind. I give them all back to you on one condition, that for me, you take care of those." And the king agreed, says, "I agree." He says, okay, king, so now you have reached the attainment. Now, have you reached it in the time that you ask? Yes. Are you satisfied? Yes. And the king says, oh Astavarkra, thank you for this. It is more glorious than I ever thought possible." So, here is this young man, this young boy really, and one of the great kings in ancient India. He's given him the final attainment within the time it takes to mount a horse and sit on it. So all things are possible with these great beings. All we have to do is turn away from our regular, everyday, mundane lives and seek those great beings who can bestow that attainment upon us. It's all possible. It's all within the realm of reality. It all can happen. And that's the story of Astavarkra and King Janaka. Thank you very much.